What's up, guys? We're about 1 month away from the NFL draft, and we're gonna hop straight into this mock draft. I'm super excited. So I'm gonna try and summarize a little bit faster than I normally do. So we're starting out with Carolina, and I'm gonna go with the easy pick here, and I'm gonna go CJ Stroud. Now I've been seeing Bryce Young a lot, which could be the case, but Stroud and McCown seem to like each other a lot, and Frank Reich likes tall QBs and accurate ones, and CJ Stroud is just that. Next up, we have the Texans, and why would we not take the best quarterback in the class? Texans fans should be ecstatic if this happens. So we're going Bryce Young. We hope DeMeco Ryans gives him some weapons, because right now I feel like they don't have enough, but they do have that pick at 12, and they have some later ones too that they can get those weapons. Actually, at 3, here's going to be our first trade. We're going to go ahead and take the Raiders. I'm not sure what's a fair compensation here, but it's a pretty big trade, low-key. This seems, I don't know, don't hate me if that's far off your belief of realistic, but moving up, and we're going to get Anthony Richardson. They just had a presser with Josh McDaniels, and he said that he wants a quarterback. Garoppolo is obviously a bridge quarterback, in my opinion, and Anthony Richardson is the perfect prospect to sit behind Jimmy and learn. Next up with the Colts, I'm going to actually take this pick with consideration that they get Lamar Jackson. And I know a lot of people have been doing that recently, but they seem to be the only team that's taken that seriously and attempted to look into it. So that'd be cool. So we kind of hope that happens. I don't want him in Baltimore anymore. Baltimore fucked that up already. So they got Lamar, and they keep this pick because I'm going to make it so that they get Lamar either with the 2024 and 2025 first round picks and not this one, just so Colts fans can still have their pick. But we're going to go with Will Anderson Jr. He's probably the safest pick and the scariest pick. They're going to get maybe some secondary in later rounds. You know, they traded Stephon Gilmore, and this D-line is getting pretty scary. Will Anderson, Shaq Leonard, my bad, and DeForest Buckner, that's pretty scary. Next up, Seahawks. I've heard some teams crossing off Jalen Carter on their draft board, which is interesting. And I feel like with the Bobby Wagner signing and the Jerron Reed signing, those are culture pickups, and I think that they're not going to go Jalen Carter, and they could. I honestly think they should, but I don't know what teams know on him. So we're going to go with Tyree Wilson. They need D-line help, obviously. They get it there. He's a freak. He fits the mold they want. I could also see them going with Levis maybe to sit back up, or maybe cornerback even, but maybe they go corner at 20. Next up, Lions. Basically, this pick and the Cardinals pick could swap. Campbell mentioned he only found 3 out of 34 guys, I believe, he met with at the combine to have it in them. It doesn't sound like he's the biggest fan of this draft class, I guess. And I think that they still need cornerback help, and I'm going to go Devon Witherspoon. He seems to have that Dan Campbell aspect to him. And I think maybe out of those 3 guys that Campbell's talking about, I feel like Jalen Carter and Devon Witherspoon could be 2 of them. Maybe not Jalen Carter with his controversial stuff. That's why I'm going to have Arizona go ahead and take Jalen Carter. And I feel like they could also go corner here, but Jalen Carter's got too much talent to pass up, especially with their D-line. They traded down. This could not go much better for the Cardinals, honestly. They trade down, get tons of capital, which I think is possible. If you look at 9-1, it's obviously a little bit, it means it's different, but you know, 7-3, it's not gonna be cheap. Definitely not gonna be cheap. So they get Jalen Carter, get a ton of picks. That's really good for them. Maybe they go Christian Gonzalez here. That would be nice. They need corner help, but D-line's kind of more important. So with Atlanta, I'm actually gonna go ahead and take Will Levis. I feel like Will Levis could go somewhere in this range. It's really not been mentioned much that Atlanta could take a quarterback here. And I know Atlanta fans believe in Ritter, and so does the team. And I also want to, being a UC student. But at least this creates a quarterback competition, and the offense cannot afford to not hit on one of those 2. And Heineke is temporary. Maybe a trade down here, honestly. For some reason, Atlanta always seems to end up in pick number 8. Next up, we have the Bears. And you traded up for insane capital. And that's because Poles knows he's going to get the best O-lineman at 9. And to me, that's going to be Peter Skoronski. And hear me out, but this is kind of where I'm starting to see Bijan Robinson. I could see him going to the Bears. And following that Bijan Robinson talk, we're actually going to go ahead and take him with the Eagles. We could find him. There he is. They have to replace Miles Sanders. They met with Bijan. It seemed to go good. It's a massive upgrade over Miles Sanders, and it's not a reach. He's definitely a top 5 talent in this draft. Roseman goes to the trenches a lot, so I could see them going that here. But they also have pick 30 to do that too, and I think the value is Robinson won't make it to 30 in my opinion. And a lot of edge players will, that they could build up. And this is a luxury pick, so why not take the most luxurious player there is in this draft? All right, with the Titans at 11, we're going to keep it short. They shouldn't go wide receiver when O-line's a mess, and their O-line is a mess. Take possibly the best tackle here, and that is obviously going to be Paris Johnson. Maybe Broderick's up there for conversation, but we're going to go Paris Johnson Jr. and help Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, and Treylon Burks get something going possibly. With the Texans, they need receiver, but at the same time, their head coach is DeMeco Ryans. So he's known for his beast of defenses in San Francisco, and to me, that means he goes defense. He said there's a chance they don't need a quarterback here, but come on, they're at 2. Like they're gonna take. They gotta take Bryce Young if he's there. So I'm going to go ahead and take Nolan Smith. I like Nolan Smith a little bit more than Lucas Van Ness. And that team needs leaders, and Nolan Smith is a leader. He's a freak off the edge. He can defend the run. So get your franchise quarterback and now get a staple leader on the defense. And that draft is pretty insane so far, in my opinion. Next up with the Jets. Where else would you go with the Jets other than tackle, in my opinion? Like, they're going to get Aaron Rodgers. I can maybe see them, they need linebacker maybe, but it's too high for that. And the wide receiver core is pretty insane right now. So go ahead and get Broderick Jones, make sure Rodgers is safe, and then go to the Super Bowl. All right, so with the Patriots here, I've seen this in a few other mocks, and I've been mocking this for a while. And there's some good talent up here, don't get me wrong, but they need some secondary help, and maybe you would think Christian Gonzalez here, which is a very, very realistic possibility. Same with Joey Porter Jr. But I'm going to pick Brian Branch. I feel like he just feels like too good of a fit. He can play safety, he can play slot, and he's coming from Bama and Saban. And then, branching that into Bill Belichick, it just makes sense. So he pairs back up with Christian Barmore, and he's a very versatile piece there. All right, Packers fans, don't get mad at me. But you're going to have tons of capital after that Rodgers trade. And I'm going to have you get a little bit more. And we're going to have the Ravens trade up here. So this is what we're going to go with. We're forcing this. It's not going to accept it on its own. You're not going to get one of the top 3 cornerbacks if you're sitting at 22. And the Packers can get what they need at 22. So get some more capital. And I know they need wide receiver, but if Christian Gonzalez slips to 15, I feel like it's definitely worth trading up and getting him, especially only 7 spots up. Like, it's not going to cost you a ton. Plus, it's been said that they're looking at DeAndre Hopkins, Odell Beckham, so they can improve their wide receiver group in free agency a little bit still. So with Washington, I personally view offensive line as more of a need than cornerback. And I said the Commanders were one of my teams that could tank for Caleb Williams in my last video. So they can build an O-line, and their secondary isn't even bad if they don't go corner here. And the corner class is deep anyways, so they can go corner in the later rounds. And I feel like that's important to keep in mind. So we are going to go... So we're going to pick Darnell Wright here. I feel like he's done enough in the offseason to move himself in the top 20 pick. And then with the Steelers, I'm sorry, Steelers fans. I know you've heard the spiel, and I know it's a boring pick at this point, but they need a cornerback, and Joey Porter is a potential number 1, which ultimately could help the D-line get a second chance at the quarterback. I could also see them going O-line here, but I could see them doing that at 32, which would be better value. And we're going to go Joey Porter. It just has to happen. It's too perfect. And then with the Detroit, they picked up a beast of a corner at 6. So finish off the weakness of the team with the defense and get Lucas Van Ness here. Aiden Hutchinson, Lucas Van Ness. It's a scary D-line. And then you put Devon Witherspoon on the outside with Emmanuel Mosley, Cam Sutton, Jeff Okuda, Gardner Johnson. Like, come on. Bucks at 19. Bucks fans, I know you want Anton Harrison, so I'm going to give you Anton Harrison. He's debatably the best tackle left. And this allows Wirfs to stay in his spot or move. But he'd probably be better staying off where he is. Donovan Smith's cut. Nolan Smith isn't available. Another team I had tanking for Williams here. So once again, build him an O-line 1 year early to set him up for success. So we're going Harrison here. And then at 20, we got Tyree Wilson already. Might as well just finish off the D-line. Make sure that's not a weakness anymore. You know, I'm going to go Brian Bresee here just because of his athleticism a little bit more than Canty. His size is a little bit more Seattle to me. He could eventually become that guy for them in the middle. I also really like Deonte Banks here, and that's why I thought I might have gone corner because I've done it so many times, but we're switching it up. Another player I could see at 20 with the Seahawks is Jackson Smith and Jigba, but the opportunity to get Wilson and a player that was possible, a top 10 player, and the #1 recruit in his class is also hard to pass up, and we're not going to do that. All right, with the Chargers at 21, I don't see why everyone thinks they have to go wide receiver. Like, they have a 2nd-round pick. They can look at free agency. They don't have to go wide receiver here. There's players like Jalen Hyatt and Tyler Scott who will probably be available at their pick in the 2nd round. And there's going to be players that are going to go a lot lower than you think. They're going to fall, whether or not it's valid or not. Nasir Adderley retired. J.C. Jackson, you know, I think I forget if he tore his ACL, but he wasn't there for them. So we're going to go defensive back here, and we're going to go Deonte Banks. And I feel like Deonte Banks, Asante Samuel, Derwin James, that kind of shores up their secondary, makes it pretty good. And then at 22 with the Packers, they traded back. They have tons of capital put around Jordan Love now. And I'm going to go with the pretty basic pick too. And we're going to go best tight end on the board in Dalton Kincaid. I also like Darnell Washington here for what they do. But I'm going to go Dalton Kincaid. Give DeGuara someone to compete with at that tight end position. And what position should be the safety blanket for the quarterback, especially when it's their first full year starting for Jordan Love? That's tight end. So give him a good tight end and make it easy on him. And then at 23, we're going to do another trade up. It's going to be with the Saints. Maybe I'm a little biased here, but from what I've heard, this is a possibility. Vikings only have 5 picks here. The Saints have 8 picks here. I feel like, I don't know what it's going to cost, but so the top cornerbacks are off the board. And maybe the Vikings stay and pick a receiver themselves because Thielen's gone. But in this draft, I'm going to have the Saints trading up just because the Saints have traded up 7 times in the last 15 years or something like that. Makes sense again to do that in this draft. Maybe depend on who slips. They've shown interest in JSN, and he slips to 23. Gotta trade up for him here. So what they're going to do is they're going to trade up, get Jackson Smith and Jigba, pair him with Michael Thomas and Chris Olave, and then that's the perfect OSU core. Like, it can't really get better than that. Come on. Saints fans want it, so they should get it. Obviously, a bigger need is defensive line and defensive tackle, but I think they can get that at 40. I also think that they could try and hope for Peyton Turner to, you know, pan out. And then, like I said, get an edge at 40 or defensive tackle at 40. All right, the Jags are up. And other than defensive back, their defense looks pretty good. Their D-line is pretty good. I believe it's Trayvon Walker. They have some good interior players. And then Kayvon Chaison's on the other side. O-line's looking pretty good. And I know everyone's thinking don't go tight end because Evan Ingram was franchise tagged, but we're going to go tight end. Ingram obviously had a good year, but it's a 1-year deal. They both can play, and Michael Mayer can block better. He's more of a true tight end or a Y, and Lawrence would want that, so Jags fans, you should too. All right, 25 with the Giants. I've seen center here a ton. but I also think they should go best player available here. And even though they brought in a lot of wide receivers, if Quentin Johnston falls this far, especially after his pro day running a 4.5, gotta go Quentin Johnston. And then their offense turns into a real serious threat if they pick up Johnston and make, Jones is back, Saquon Barkley's back. And then with Dallas, once again, best player available. Bijan Robinson's gone. And in my opinion, Myles Murphy fits the spot here. He completes that D-line, has an unreal potential in that defense. I think Cooks filled the need at wide receiver. So now they have Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, and Brandon Cooks. That's pretty solid wide receiver core in my opinion. Maybe get one other one in another round and maybe go O-line here, but I like Myles Murphy there. All right, with the Bills at 27, I think they would be lucky if Torrance falls here. It's a really good pick. Torrance is maybe the best guard in the draft outside of Skoronski, and the Bills really need it. Josh Allen would be thankful. And the offense would really benefit from this, given it would give Allen more time to do his thing. He's also a beast at run blocking for whoever's going to be their running back one next year. I think that's either Damian Harris or James Cook. So it really makes too much sense. We're going to go ahead and take O'Cyrus Torrance. I honestly don't think he falls that far, but if it does, Bills fans should be happy. Cincinnati at 28. I personally think that O'Cyrus Torrance is going to mark the last offensive lineman that should go in the first round. We'll take a look at some of the ones left. DeJuan Jones could go here, but it's kind of a reach. They just got Orlando Brown, and they do have other needs. And once again, I think it's best player available. And what is one of their needs on defense? That's going to be interior defensive line. I'm going to go Kalijah Kancey. It really does make a lot of sense for them. They're pairing them with Hubbard and Hendrickson. I know they have BJ Hill. I know they have DJ Reader. He's a smaller guy that can get to the quarterback faster than those guys who are more beefy. And other than really Cam Smith, I think the value for Kalijah Kancey at 28 is so much better than going Cam Smith here. I like Cam Smith, but it just makes too much sense. And then we have the Vikings at 29 with the trade. They gather some picks, which they needed. And, they still get exactly what they want. Look who's sitting right here for them. I'm going Zay Flowers. They really have Justin Jefferson and not many other people other than like KJ Osborne. So get Zay Flowers in there, and it takes some attention off of Justin Jefferson, which is perfect. At 30, this is where I'm going to go Eagles going in the trenches. Oh, didn't mean to do that. So the Eagles already have their replacement for Javon Hargrave and Jordan Davis. Fletcher Cox is back and Brandon Graham's back. But age is going to catch up, and Roseman is a master at getting a player before they need them. Adebawore is someone that I think has the potential to go here. You might be wondering, why wouldn't I pick any of these guys? I think they could go up this high, but I also think that Adebawore, with his RAS score, has high enough potential to go there, and he'd be versatile on that D-line. And the last pick with 31 is the Chiefs. They won the Super Bowl, so obviously they have very few holes. They lost Orlando Brown, but instantly replaced him with Jawan Taylor. Maybe they could go wide receiver or running back here, but they also have Isaiah Pacheco and Sky Moore. I think their best bet with the way the board fell, maybe Jordan Addison's in this conversation, but they do need to replace Frank Clark on the edge, and he was kind of one of the faster guys. And if you look at the lineman here, one of the faster ones is going to be Will McDonald, and that's going to be our last pick. You pair him with, George Karlaftis and put him next to Chris Jones. There's really no more holes on that team. And honestly, shout out to the rookies in that secondary who won a Super Bowl. It was pretty impressive. All right, so that wraps up my latest mock draft, and there'll be a few more before the 28th of April. I might throw in another 2024 mock draft at some point in between now and then. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comments, and please subscribe if you enjoy my content and thoughts. See you guys.